Went a little heavier with my relicking than I maybe intended, but still think it looks good. Alright, so ready for assembly. This thing went together nicely, like the neck fit on it nice, which I'm pleased to say. This thing's incredibly light. It's only 4 pounds right now. It's obviously not finished, but that's incredibly light, considering that the neck is probably 2.5 pounds. Now compare that to this. This is my Pawn Shop 51, but aftermarket super fat neck I put on it. This thing actually weighs 8 pounds, like exactly 8 pounds, and compare that to this. This is a mahogany wood block. It's 2 inches thick. It's well oversized for what I need, but this thing weighs 13 pounds. So wow, I'm gonna have to hopefully when I get it cut down to the size that I actually want it, I hope this thing doesn't need to be chambered, because I don't have a cap for it. I was just going to cut out a guitar and, you know, shape it and put it together. And I don't want it to be stupid heavy as well. It's going to be a Mustang body. That's what I'm going with, which is a little slimmer, so it is going to be a little less wood. But there's a reason why SG guitars are only like 1.25 inches thick, and it's because they're solid mahogany. It's crazy heavy stuff. But it's a nice piece of wood, I will say. So anyway, let's get on with assembly, put these parts on it, and set it up, and let's see what she sounds like. Well, I hate to say we're off to a rough start. Doing the thread trick again. So I've got my neck lined up, the strings pulled tight and at the right distance, and they line up with the pickup pretty good. They're a little bit off, but not terribly. But here's the problem. They don't line up with where the bridge wants to be. A bridge can move around a little bit, but that hole can't move at all without me filling it and re-drilling it. Now, I don't know how I missed that, or miscalculated that, I suppose. But now I'm thinking, crap, I should have waited and drilled those holes after. I definitely had to have the bridge cavity drilled or routed, but those holes didn't need to be there just quite yet. Now this one's not a problem because it does have some flexibility as to where the post goes, but this one has to be in a specific spot because the bridge is going to center on that post, which means that thing needs to move about 1/4 inch. And of course there's only one way of doing that, and that's filling the hole in and then drilling a new one. So that sucks. That's going to set me back a little bit. Now this is what I wanted to see. The control cavity looks good, fits well. I'm gonna have to rewire the whole thing because this is a pre-wired like telly style, and I'm using this position as the input jack and not as a tone knob. So let's get to some more body work, I guess. It turns out I didn't cut the bridge cavity particularly straight, so I've done some reshaping up at the top here, and I put a fence in to make sure that I can guide the router all the way down and through and make a nice straight pocket. And the way to do that, by the way, is to cut a strip of paper that's at exactly the measurement your router needs. Mine is 2 5/16 of an inch. Alright, I managed to get this thing all into one piece. The only screws I have that fit this telly plate, I must have either not got any with it or who knows what. These came out of a guitar that I butchered 25 years ago that have been sitting in a plastic bag with a bunch of like old corroded and useless Floyd Rose parts and stuff. It's funny. So they're the only two that I have that are going to fit, because they have to be that sort of countersunk head kind of thing. The strings that I have on this for now came out of this guitar, which is a string through body. So each one has this crazy kink right here where it went through the sort of bridge plate that's screwed to the top of the guitar here. So the great thing about going to this kind of a bridge is you don't need as much string. A string through, you need like the longest possible strings. So anyway, everything works, and my wiring idea worked just fine. I've got the three-way switch with a dead position, open bright position, and a tone roll-off position using this capacitor right there, and it works exactly as I expected it would, so that's great. And it's quiet too, so I'm not getting any weird noise out of it. Alright, so here's the final product. It's a little more shiny and reflective than I had intended initially, but that doesn't really bother me, and I don't want to spend the time doing all of the sanding and re-clear coating that it would take to get this down to a perfectly flat and matte finish. The sort of clean tone is typical of what you'd expect from humbuckers. But the wiring turned out exactly what I wanted. It's full bright in this position, so and in the neck position we get the rolled off sort of lead tone, if you like. So, mission accomplished. The EVH Art project. Oh yeah, totally forgot to show off the whammy bar. So it's one of these not screw in, you just insert it into the hole. It's got some kind of a plastic thing that provides tension and is a set screw in behind. So if you can hear this, there is some wobble in it. It has plenty of tension because I can set it where I want it and it stays there. Now, on the bright side, like this is a low-end unit, so it's not, I wasn't expecting magic out of it. However, one of the great things is it does keep very good tuning stability, and if I go all the way flat with it, it keeps its tune. So one good test for that is there you go. I may actually block the trem anyway, because a problem with floating bridges particularly is if I, let's say, play the open E string and then bend a note on the B string, you'll hear the E string go flat. So that's just normal for floating bridges, which means if you're doing this kind of double stops, any kind of double stops where you're bending, you're going to go slightly flat on the overall note. But that's just to be expected. So anyway, I'm not a big whammy guy. I built this so I'd maybe learn a few things and see if I like it. But either way, it's a great system, and it's making better use of my locking staggered fender tuners that I have on this neck. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Blemidich Comberbotch, Bernadette Camberbench, Barnacle Clamper Snatch.
I just spit! Did you see it? It was awesome! Woo!